Welcome back. All right, I did not expect to be wearing a Bruins jersey tonight. Complete and full transparency on that. I thought, the Caps are probably going to win this. I predicted Boston to win the series, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking, yeah, but really, is it just because you're a Bruins fan you're hoping for it? So, this was a good game. This is the first game that has needed two full-size whiteboards. You impressed? You should be. And also, because it needed two full-size whiteboards, this is late being posted, and it means the other three game reviews will be posted back to back to back late tonight. And I apologize, but really, you can thank the Bruins and the Capitals for this because they mucked up the whole time scheme. Kuznetsov back in the lineup. Samsonov, I should say, starts versus Rask. They showed that Rask has a .926 playoff save percentage. Not bad for a guy that people keep talking about him choking all the time. Not too shabby at all. .926 is pretty high. Early shot blocks by the Caps. Samsonov off for around 3 weeks, and he was the third goaltender employed in the first three games by Washington, and that's the first time that's happened in a very, very long time. It was Winnipeg that did it in the 80s, and I'm trying to think now. They had the names of the goaltenders. I know Berthiaume was one of them. Anyways, so yeah. I should have written it on the board, right? Kuznetsov turnover led to a 2-on-1. Dylan defends that. Ovechkin then takes a penalty. Ritchie was denied. Bergeron was as well. Bergeron had a very good game in this one. Caps survive a dangerous power play. The shots were 3-0 for the Bruins 5 minutes into it. Riley then attempts a wraparound, but he takes a penalty. The Caps then get a power play. During the Caps power play, there's a shorthanded chance for Coyle. Bruins do actually kill that off. Then there was a too many men on the ice call against the Bruins, which sends the Caps back to the power play. Too many men on the ice and delay of games, when those ones are being called, it's just a team being sloppy. It's not actually referees being out to get you or anything. So, yeah, that happens. And there was dump and chase going on for the Caps, which wasn't working. So I noticed, I was like, wow, they're on the power play, and instead of carrying it across the line trying to set up, they're dumping it. And so it gives the Bruins a chance to go back and just clear it right back out. So that wasn't working. They would fix that later on in the game, but to this point, they hadn't. Wilson was getting booed. What I thought was funny was they booed Wilson when he touched the puck. He goes behind the net. McAvoy hits him, and the fans cheer. So it honestly it did make me kind of laugh at that. Chara then was guilty of a slash. That gives the Bruins a power play. And it's a very physical game early on here. And which I'm sure will surprise no one. Then there was a delay of game call, which led to a 5-on-3 for 55 seconds. 5-on-3s are funny. It feels like either they hit right away and they get that goal, or they don't hit at all. And Samsonov robbed Bergeron. Caps cleared out, and as soon as the Caps cleared it, in my brain I went, all right, so the Bruins aren't going to score on this 5-on-3 then, because the Caps have got some confidence here. Dylan then saved a Marchand goal. Yeah, Marchand would have scored there, and Dylan made a nice save. The Caps and Samsonov survive it. The Caps need momentum. It's still tied at nothing, but they need a momentum. 2:35 left. Corelli goes to the box, and I felt this was really hurting the game's flow. We weren't getting that up-tempo game. Still some hitting, definitely some hitting, some unpleasantness, but not getting that flow in the game that we had in the last one. Caps power play had trouble setting up. That was killed off. So we go to the second period. Early chance by Hull. That's defended. Dylan then nearly gets one. Dylan, very good series so far for Brendan Dillon. Schultz then had a shot that was stopped. Good back and forth action. Raffle with the net drive. Rask defends it. Marchand then heads to the net. The Bruins could not bury it after he gets it to the net. Very close there. Caps were definitely better in the second period than in the first. Bergeron buzzing around the net again. Dowd gets shaken up. Marchand gets an unsportsmanlike penalty. So remember in the first game how he was tapping Mantha, and they both go to the box. In this case, he was tapping. I'm trying to remember. Was it Raffle? He's tapping one of the players with his stick, and the referee, probably having watched the footage from the first game, was like, "Hey, dingus, off to the box." I don't have any proof he called him a dingus. I'm just saying he probably called him a dingus, or that was the word that got thrown back at him by Marchand, because that's as close to swearing as hockey players get, right? Okay, so Caps get a power play. The fans were unhappy with that call. You know what? I'm fine with that call. It's your standard Marchand being Marchand thing. So there's a shorthanded chance for Kuraly. That was saved by Samsonov. Ovechkin nearly gets one, and then he did. So with that goal on the power play, it makes Marchand pay for his silly little stick thing that he did. Mantha gets the assist at 8:21. Ovechkin with his 800th career NHL goal. That includes playoffs and the regular season. So he's, I think, sixth now. Sixth player that's had 800 career goals combined. Not too shabby. But less than a minute later, Taylor Hall with one of the nicest goals I've seen scored this season from Smith and Miller. And man, top shelf, absolute gorgeous goal by Taylor Hall. That's the kind of move. And I agree. And on Twitter, somebody, when I posted about how beautiful that goal was, somebody posted on Twitter, as a Sabres fan, I needed a stiff drink after that, right? So Taylor Hall, one thing about him, you watch him in Boston, it just seems to fit. But here's the thing. If you're a Sabres fan watching this, you have every right to be angry because he wasn't engaged like this in Buffalo. If you're an Arizona fan, same thing. New Jersey, same thing. Taylor Hall has been engaged as a member of the Bruins the way he never was with the Sabres, wasn't his last year with the Devils or with the Arizona Coyotes. So I totally understand why, if you're a fan of one of those teams, you'd be kind of angry right now at what you're seeing. And it was a nice way to answer. No chance for Samsonov on that. Mantha then had a fast break, saved by Tuukka Rask. Sprong's shot was saved as the Caps were pressuring. Sherry deflects one wide. Things get kind of scrummy at the Bruins net. Rask was upset. What happened was that Hathaway runs into Rask, but Hathaway was pushed into Rask. Well, Rask can't tell that. He just knows he got hit and his helmet came off. Did Hathaway try to get out of the way? He didn't have a chance. He got pushed into him. So, no penalties. I think Rask wanted one there, but he was probably told by the referee, no. So the Caps get another shot. The Bruins then had a 3-on-2. Pasternak had a shot that was blocked. Grzelcyk takes a penalty. Another Caps power play. It's getting better. The power play is getting better. There was a shorthanded chance for Marchand. It goes high and out of play. Rask then with a glove save keeps things tied. And then it's Dowd scoring another key goal from Hathaway at 18:15. Again, Garnet Hathaway showing that in the playoffs, he's the kind of guy you need. So the Bruins try to answer. There was a near miss late for the Caps, but after 2 periods, it's 2-1 for the Capitals. Third period. Early Miller chance misses the net. Wilson blocks a shot with his hand. I don't recommend that. I mean, I know he was fine and everything, but I really don't recommend that. Blocking shots with your hand, good way to get your hand broke. Caps then press, seeking some insurance. Turnovers were hurting Boston throughout the first and second period and into the third as well. Bergeron hits the outside of the post. Bruins draw a power play. That power play not happening. It just wasn't good there. Easy kill for the Caps on that power play. Samsonov not showing any rust to that point in the game at all. Caps press at the half. Backstrom line, been very good. Backstrom they had out there. Wilson was on the one wing. Was it Mantha was on the other wing? I think it was Mantha was on the other wing, right? And just that line worked very, very well. Bruins go back to the power play. Marchand fanned on one. And I thought, man, that's going to come back to haunt him. However, he then knocks one out of the air. And the power play marker is his from Bergeron and McAvoy at 11:32. So again, you need a big goal for Boston. And it's off the stick of Marchand. So that ties it up. The Backstrom line is then sent out to answer. With 4 minutes left in this game, it already felt like it was overtime. Chara was a post away from the lead. Ovechkin, shot blocking tonight. So Ovechkin playing the full 200-foot game, and that's where he's a huge difference maker now compared to when he first came into the league. And it was all about, I need goals. Orlov then had a chance save with 2 minutes left. Another post, this time for Wilson. In the last minute, Krejci had a shot that goes wide. So we go to overtime. In overtime, this is the 8th series in history to start with 3 straight overtimes. The last 2 before this one, also the Capitals. So Riley then gets an early shot. You know, Riley's going to get a goal at some point. It has to happen. And I really hope that the Bruins keep Riley into next season because he's been a really solid pickup for them. Samsonov covered as the Bruins had the early jump. Back and forth action follows. Carlson misses the net. There was kind of a scrum, but not really. So as the energy level starts to drop, as the overtime is dragging on, the scrums go from I'll get you and I'll get you and your mama this and your mama that. It kind of turns into as the game goes along, right? So, yeah, It felt like this was really settling in. Rask was sharp as the Caps pressed. Samsonov then stops a Grizzly chance. Pasternak, he had a shot as well. That was saved. Marchand with a low bridge on Hathaway. They could have called that. I'm gonna say straight out they could have called that. And I'm being honest as a Bruins fan. They could have absolutely called Marchand with that. I don't like low bridge hits. I don't like them. They're not a sportsmanlike way of playing. So you could have called an unsportsmanlike penalty to me anyways on that. You see somebody coming and you duck underneath. All right. So yeah, that was on Hathaway. Samsonov then saved on Riley, as Riley had a good overtime. Pasternak was robbed as the Bruins were pressing. Coyle goes into beast mode, but he couldn't bury it because it's Charlie Coyle. So he's more of the setup guy than the finisher. Raffle had a wraparound that wouldn't go, and it looked like this was going to double overtime as we're about 3 minutes out. Last minute, back check by Kuznetsov on McAvoy. Ovechkin then has one that's blocked out of play, and we go to double overtime. Yep, first time this has ever happened. This is the same board I used for the Canucks game today. So I'm like, fine, this could go on for a while. I'm not using a mini board. I've got a whole bunch of boards now. I use a full-size board. So double overtime and fast changes right away. Once you're into double overtime, these players are dehydrated, they're tired, they're sore. So you have maybe a 20-second shift, 25 seconds. So the shifts get shorter and shorter. DeBrusk throws one at the net. Dowd sends it away. Krejci had a shot that was saved. Marchand misses one wide. Rask then saved a Chara shot. Pasternak then toe-picked and crashed into the boards. But Kuznetsov with a reach in, and there was no call on that. And it's double overtime. So while the announcers might have said, oh, they could have called a penalty shot there, not in double over. Generally speaking, you're not going to call that as a penalty shot double overtime. I didn't think it was that blatant, but it was an ugly crash into the boards by Pasternak, who thankfully would return. The linesman then gets downed as well. He looked pretty shaken up. You can't really protect yourself as the linesman. They don't have all the padding that the players have. I mean, they have some, but they don't have all the player padding. So thankfully, I'm pretty sure he didn't leave. But it wasn't long after that Pasternak's on the ice. And then Samsonov gets crossed up with Schultz behind the net. And this may very well be where not having a goalie in there for a few weeks, where that rust shows up. So Craig Smith goes, thanks, and puts it in the net. So Samsonov goes to leave it. Schultz doesn't grab it. And whether you want to blame Schultz, you want to blame Samsonov. I don't think I said Varlamov. Did I say Varlamov? Anyways, if you want to blame Samsonov, that's okay. You want to blame Schultz, fine as well. But Smith ends up putting in the net at 5:48 of double overtime. So this is the first game to go to double overtime. And Boston's up 2-1. The shots in this one, 10-4 Boston in the first, 16-11 Washington in the second, 9-3 Washington in the third. Boston did not get enough shots in the third period, but they kept the game tied. Then in the overtime, the first overtime, Boston outshoots Washington 17-5. Then in the second overtime, Washington outshoots them 3-2. Final shots, 43-37 for Boston. Both teams go 1 for 5 on the power play. Hits 60-57 for Boston. Block shots 20-14 for Washington. Samsonov saves 40 out of 43 for the Caps. And Tuukka Rask saves 35 out of 37. So does Washington go to a fourth goaltender? Does Phoenix Copley start in Game 4? Do you just keep rotating your goalies? Who knows? I think you stay with Samsonov in Game 4, but we'll see. Let me know your thoughts regarding this game in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, it's a 2-board game. First time we've had that all season. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.